County. She recently has a book that's coming out from Kickstarter. I think it got funded. But they still made it happen with the maker mindset to make it go. And she's also starting another social endeavor, call it, for future development group. And so Michelle Carlson has worked with youth in many different areas, but specifically, more recently in Juvenile Hall, as Dale Doherty talked about yesterday. So we'd like to welcome her to the stage to share some of her work with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and I just want to give a huge shout out to these guys. They put on such an amazing event here, and it's been just phenomenal so far. I know. So my name is Michelle Carlson. I am the CEO of Future Development Group. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is there, Future Dev Group. I was in the back, I was looking at the book. Speaking of books, I have a book coming out at the end of this month. It's documenting something that we did in a middle school makerspace. We actually had 50 kids for 180 days. And what we got out of that program was something really, really exciting. We took kids from being shy and completely disengaged in school. Some of them didn't speak English. Almost all of them came from poverty. And starting on the first day, I said, this is going to be like the best class you've ever taken in your life. And they were like, yeah, whatever. We heard that before. And by the third week, it was like walking into Google, if Google was all middle schoolers. It was amazing things, and they were talking to each other, and they were excited about learning. And I came in one day and I said, so what do you guys think about school? And they were like, I don't like school. School sucks. And I said, where are you right now? And they kind of looked at me and they were like, okay. So, you know, the maker thing, I think it has such an amazing, it's magic. I mean, it really is magic. We can take kids who hate school and turn them into people who love learning and love school. There isn't anything better than that. And Casey has a big stack of books back there in the back of the room. And I was looking at some of them and, you know, taking pictures and I don't know if I would buy this one, I would get that one. And I came across this one, which made me smile because we created this book. It's a little tinkering at home guide. When we first opened the Makerspace in Tehama County, one of my friends said, you know, we're like creating Makerspaceians. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a fun word. You know, what if we like spelled it out phonetically and, you know, came up with a definition for Makerspacean, what is that? And so I actually put it to the kids. I put it to a group of high schoolers who you're going to hear some of their stories here. And I said, if you guys had to define that word, what would it be? So this is what they came up with. It's a noun. It's a special breed of human that proves you only need an imagination and a pile of junk to make anything a reality. When we can teach kids, you really don't need anything but your own mind and whatever is around you, even if it's junk, you can make anything. And that's a pretty powerful statement. So this book is back there. We created it. I can share the file with anybody. We sent this out into the community and we encourage making in homes and in parks and in community centers and libraries, and we gave it away to like 2,000 people in our community. So if anybody wants the file, let me know. I can send it to you, and you're welcome to add to it or change it or whatever. All right, so my maker story. I hated school. It was awful. Every day I went to school and I get assignments and I get these things that were like, memorize this, take this test, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I was the kid who was like, why? Because don't tell me it's for a grade, because like I'm smart and I know like I don't really have to care about that part either, So I hated school. It was awful, and I wanted things that were relevant and joyful and meaningful to me as a person. And I didn't get that out of education. And so when I got older and I went to college, I've been a maker all my life, and I've never been afraid to say what I think. which has been an interesting journey sometimes. I graduated from Chico State. I'm the first person in my family to ever graduate college. My parents told me, you guys are going to school, you're going to college, you're going to get a degree. We can't help you, so figure it out. So my sister and I, we both did that. We both have degrees from Chico State University now, which is kind of exciting. And when I got out and I started looking around and looking at what I wanted to do, I really wanted to make a difference for those kids who hate school. And I think it's kind of a growing number of kids. You know, I mean, in talking to kids and talking to them about what their experiences are, they don't know it. And so I created a makerspace at the Department of Ed in Topeka County, and I said, I'm going to prove to you guys what it looks like when learning is fun. I'm going to prove that we can be smiling and learning at the same time. And I got them sideways eyes, you know, but they humored me and they gave me a space, they said, we have no money, so figure that out. My husband's a furniture maker, so he donated like $25,000 worth of furniture for our makerspace, which will see in a little bit. So we made it happen. We worked with the community and we worked with the people around us. We got people excited. And what happened was kids came in and they were learning science, and they were learning math, and they were learning engineering, they were learning coding, and they were learning how art can be applied to all of those things. And one kid from middle school said one day, if science was like this every day, I would love science. I was like, oh my gosh, can I quote you and like tell the world that you said that? So superintendent started coming to me and saying, we want to have you do this in our school. And a couple of them asked my boss to buy all of my time, and the rest is kind of history. I left and I jumped off the cliff and I started my own company, and now this is what I get to do. And I get to volunteer, come out and talk to folks like you who are amazing and learn from you and be inspired by you, and hopefully inspire others to take this work and run with it. So, like I said, I've been a maker all my life. I come from a family that didn't have a lot of money. I got married, I went to school, I figured it out. My husband and I decided in the height of the housing market that we wanted to own our own home. And when we started looking at what we could afford, it was like a 600 square foot shack with no front door. That was like $100,000, you know, that was like in a rural community. So we started talking, and I was like, well, we could probably build our own home, right? I mean, why not? So there's us, building our own home. We did everything. We did everything except for I live in the country, so we didn't do the septic system and we didn't do the air conditioning, but we literally hammered every single nail and insulated. I wired the house. Like, I learned how to wire a house, and I wired my house. So I get to be the example, you know, like, I don't tell these things to be like, oh, look at what I did. I tell kids this stuff because it's like, look at what you can do. You know, like, I'm a girl, I graduated from college, I have a degree in technology. You know, there's no reason why everybody can't do things like that. You know? It's just like, there's nothing holding us back but our own brain telling us that we can't. So, 10 years after we built our house, I was out with my dad one day, and he was looking for a tailgate in the junkyard, and I wandered off and I saw this car, and I thought, hey, that's kind of a cool car, you know, like, I like the lines, I like the look, it's kind of small, it would fit me, and there's my shadow in the front of the picture, taking a photo with my phone, and I emailed this picture to my husband, and I said, hey, I want to buy this little car and fix it up, and he didn't respond. And a couple hours later, I got home, and I was like, so, what do you think? Like, did you see your email? Did you see the picture? And he looked at me and he goes, are you serious? I thought you were kidding. And I was like, no, you know, like, my dad and I have been talking about building a car for my whole life, and he grew up in San Francisco, and he was like, you know, in the 50s, when he had every car, and they were all cool, and, you know, like, that whole American ingenuity thing, and I want to do this. And I think we probably can. And my husband goes, you don't know anything about restoring an old car. And I said, duh, you have YouTube. This is like the world's teacher. You know, you can learn anything on YouTube. So after a month of convincing, he finally gave in because I wasn't going to give up. And so we bought this car and had it delivered to our front yard in a big pile. And my whole family thought I was crazy. So as we were working on it, we were taking pictures, and we were sharing the story, and we were talking about what we were doing, and we became, it's a Studebaker, so we became members of the Studebaker International Drivers Club, you know, because we're like part of the team now and all that. And I sent this picture, they're like rebuilding the engine on your car, like you? And I said, well yeah, I mean me and my dad and my husband, you know, the three of us. So this picture they used in their international marketing campaign to encourage women to buy old cars and work on them and join the club and do all of that. Which was kind of fun, you know? And then this is what it looks like now. So that's my dad and my husband. My two heroes. So when I show people the first picture, they're like, oh God, what is she going to show it? Like, what is it? Did it ever get done? I drive it. I drove that car. That was my only car, the only car I had for 2 years in the red glove heat, no air conditioning, and vinyl seats. I drove around that car. And I still have it, and I still drive it. I have an economical car, so I can come do things like this too now. But anyway, you can literally do anything. I mean, we didn't have a lot of money. We did that. You know, we did it. We welded and we rebuilt and we did body work and we painted our own car. Like we didn't have somebody else do it. We did. So there is no excuse. We can all be makers. We can all do whatever we want to do. Like Dale said, when you want to do something, it's personal for you. So this is the county office makerspace. The tables there, the ones my husband built, the sign he built. There's some other furniture that he built in that little room there. So this is where it all started. And this was the place where we would bring kids in on field trips, and for an hour and a half we would make their day. You know, and for an hour and a half we would transform what they thought learning was. And I would watch this happen and help run the workshops. And I was standing there one day and I thought, this is an hour and a half. You know, so like we're not changing anybody's life by doing this. We're giving them a great experience, and you know, over time we could make a really big difference. But I want it now. Like I'm kind of impatient that way. And so I thought, well, how can we do that? How can we take this hour and a half and turn it into a life-changing experience for kids? And so we started the Makerspace Ambassador Program, and we had an application process, and kids from the 8th grade all the way through the 12th grade, anybody. I don't care if they're failing school, I don't care if they were on probation, they could apply to be a Makerspace Ambassador, and they would come and basically have like hours, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 5 or whatever. They would come on a regular basis, and for us to be able to give them that kind of access to the space would change their life, right? I mean, now we're working on something that's going to actually make a difference. So one of the groups of kids that we had that I'll tell you guys more about tomorrow during my workshop, if you want to come visit with me there, we had a group of kids get released from juvenile hall. And they came to the Makerspace. They wanted to enter a statewide contest. It was a video contest that the state was doing, and they had chosen to do a video on suicide prevention. And so they came and they spent an 8-hour day with us, and I handed them all iPads, and they went and did their thing, and their video won an award. So these kids from juvenile hall who were incarcerated got to get into plain clothes and come and visit with us, and they literally did everything. I gave them like a 5-minute intro on here's how to do iMovie, have fun, and I handed them iPads, and they went off and did their thing. And then they won, and they got to get released again and leave and go down to Sacramento and feel really good about what they did. And it was really clear to our probation chief at that point that they needed that to be more accessible to his kids, because it was a major process to get them released and sent over to us. So he came to me one day and he said, hey, I want to have a makerspace for my kids inside of juvenile hall. And I said, I want you to have a makerspace for your kids in juvenile hall. Let's figure that out. Let's make it happen. So this is their space, and again, there's the tables, and we decided to do this big giant thing on the wall. It's like 8 feet by 14 or something like that. It says defy the odds. You know, that's kind of my story, and it's like I get to then pass that on and pay it forward to these kids and say, you guys can defy the odds. So I volunteer over there once a week on Mondays and train the staff and the kids, and we have a regular thing going that's growing and getting bigger and bigger all the time, which is super exciting. And it's going to be life-changing for those kids. So one of our ambassadors, Marin, she came to us. She was this amazing kid, totally perfect, totally perfect, like the epitome of the perfect student. She got straight A's, she took every AP class there was, she was always happy. Both of her parents went to college, she had a loving family, all the stuff on the outside that you would think would make for a great story. And one day, I was asked to present to a regional superintendent symposium. So I said, okay, I can go and I'll talk to these 65 superintendents and I'll tell them about the makerspace. And but I can't really give them the whole story. I'm going to bring a kid, and that kid is going to tell them what it's been for her. So I brought Mary, thinking she's the poster child for like awesome kid, right? So in the car on the way to the presentation to talk to these 65 people, I asked her to practice her speech. Like I'm driving, we're practicing our speech, I'm practicing mine. She goes, do you really want to hear what I have to say? And I said, well, yeah, we're almost there, so probably it's a good time to practice. And so we did a little podcast later on, a year later actually, and recorded her speech. And we can hear that for you.
Welcome to Faces Behind the Data, where we share real stories of how the Maker Movement has impacted kids, teachers, and communities. I'm Michelle Carlson, CEO of Future Development Group, and passionate advocate for education that is joyful and relevant. I've seen firsthand the transformational power of this work, and now I share these stories with you in the hope that we can build this movement for change together.
My name is Marin, and I'm a makerspace success story, but not the typical one. I was the child no one thought needed saving until I needed saving. I was valedictorian of my graduating class last year, and I don't say that to be prideful. I only say that to give you a bit of perspective about me. After knowing that, when you look at me, what do you see? Admiration towards my accomplishments, positivity because I'm a child flourishing in the system, that I'm a success. Now there's a kid sitting in the back of the classroom, disengaged, serious, with zero drive, failing every class. What do you see when you look at him? Frustration because you want him to be better? Sadness because if he only applied himself, he could do well? He is failing his classes. Do you see him as a failure? If you do, you're not alone. We all do it. Labels are an easy, convenient, and extremely dangerous game to play. What if I told you that every day when I came home from school after sports practice and community service, I would sit down and do my homework and just bawl? The expectations of success, whether people admit putting them on me or not, transformed into a deep-seated fear of failure. That was too much to bear. I became depressed. Not sad, I was depressed, with sporadic suicidal thoughts. Both of us work at Makerspace as ambassadors. He literally said nothing the first couple of weeks when I wrote him off, as many people may. But one day I leaned over to him and said, we've been working here together for a month. Let me see what you're doing. He protested, but I protested better, and he showed me. This little failure had been creating his own graphic design and animations for promotional videos he had created about a video game he liked. They were so professional looking that I actually made him prove to me that he hadn't just pulled them off the internet. He was creating it all from scratch with no expert telling him what to do, no class, nothing except his personal drive to learn how to do it because he wanted to learn about it. And isn't that what education is about? A child with such a burning desire to learn something that when given the raw materials and resources, they use their love to pursue the knowledge themselves. As for me, I honestly thought that Makerspace would look great on a college application. It seemed fun, but mostly the name Makerspace Ambassador would be so unique to the college boards. In Makerspace, I learned the importance of failing, and the even greater importance of not being bogged down by failure and getting up and again, trying again and again and again. I thought I knew how to do this before, but I didn't. With no expectations of success, I feel free to experiment and to truly learn. So you see, Makerspace is a place for every child. The perfect student, the slacker, the social butterfly, the outcast. In Makerspace, there is no expectations, no labels. We bring together kids from all different social backgrounds and backstories to come together and share their love and passion for learning and exploring. In fact, one of my closest friends I only met through the ambassador program. We were in different circles, but being put together and working on projects together at Makerspace gave us a good, working, mutually respecting partnership and friendship. In 2 sentences, Makerspace and the Maker Ambassador program teaches you the stuff that you don't learn in the classroom by applying all of the classroom stuff. And for most of us, especially me, it taught us how to love learning again.
Your next story on how making is building better futures for kids.
Marin is one of my heroes. Oh my gosh, she was the most phenomenal human being in the fact that she could talk about what happened and be honest and share. And she has actually asked me to share her story because she wants people to know the reality. And she wants them to know what the solution was for her and for the kids that she spoke about. The boy, the failure, he lost both of his parents tragically, and going into the 9th grade. And he was failing everything, completely checked out, didn't care, and we were losing him. He was small and not athletic, and his face was covered in acne. I mean, he was just shy, and so one of his guardians brought him to me one day because they tried everything, counselors and all this stuff, and every adult, wrapping him with all kinds of services and support, and we were still losing him. And she said, I need to bring him to you and see, if you can help him. And so she brought him, and I gave him a tour of Makerspace. When he walked up and she introduced him, he walked up like this, and he held out his hand, and I shook his hand, and his hand was just dripping with sweat. I mean, he was so nervous and so freaked out. And my first thought was, he's been surrounded by so many people trying to help him, because he's lost his parents and he's gone through this terrible thing. He needs some breathing room, like he needs a little space. So he came with a friend, and I gave him a tour, and I said, we have this and we have that, we have graphic design and video and coding and art and blah, 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 blah. And he said, what's code? And, 9th grader, and doesn't have any, I've never heard of code before. And I said, oh, you don't know what code is? Okay, well, so I sat him down in front of a computer, and I broke out a little circuit board, a digital sandbox actually, and the book. Yes, we love the digital sandbox.
Wear a Sparkman shirt.
Yeah, Sparkman product. Set him down. There's a book, and the book walks you through everything. And it starts you out in a basic, make a light link, and then it scaffolds up, and it scaffolds up, and it scaffolds up. And I said, here's how to plug it in, here's how to use the book. 2 minutes, tops, is what I gave them. And I said, if you want to know more, read the book. And then I walked away, and I left the 2 of them there at the computer with the digital sandbox and the book, and hoped for the best. Like, poor kid, I really, honestly, I didn't know what else to give him, because he was already given everything, and it wasn't working. And I peeked my head in every now and then, just make sure they were still there and still doing something. And half hour later, I came back, they had lights blinking, they were talking to each other. It was like the most amazing success. And he was smiling. And I didn't remember ever seeing his teeth before that. So he was there for a few hours. And the guardian came, and she picked him up, and later that night, like 7:30, I get a text from her that says, I've known him for years. I've known his family for years. I've never heard him speak. On the way home from the Makerspace tonight, he wouldn't shut up. He just kept talking about everything that he had done and all the stuff that he had learned. And, he finally felt like he was alive. And he said he knew what he wanted to do with his life. And I'm not making this up. I'm not even like exaggerating any of it. It was this phenomenal moment for this kid, you know? And it was like, oh my gosh, we're on to something here. You know, like this really is like magic. And so he became an ambassador, and he went from being a shy, sweaty kid who didn't want to talk to anybody, never smiled, to being like, he bebopped in the other day. I went to visit, because I go back and visit him every now and then. And he walks in with his snacks, you know, and he's like going into the computer room to work, and he says, hey, I got a B- in math. And I was like, oh my God, you have a B- in math, and you're proud to share that. Like, that is huge, because before he was proud that he didn't have he had an F in everything, and he didn't care, you know. And we didn't give that to him. We didn't teach him. We didn't hold his hand and walk him through. We gave him a space, and we gave him tools, and we encouraged him, and we helped him every now and then. But we gave him the space, and we just let him go, and that's what happened. He's been to Stanford to do a workshop with their animation group. It was amazing stories, and I have tons of them. But he's now like going to be okay, and it wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of any of us. It was because we were able to provide him with an opportunity to connect with making. Real quick, I'm going to speed up because I think I'm over time. Okay, all right. So another kid, same story. Here he is coding a makey with another kid who walked in the library one day, and another one you never see his teeth. And there are just so many stories, and making is for everybody. And it's really, I hope to inspire you guys to take this and really run with it, and really embrace this movement, because it is what our kids need. It is the solution.